Kina Bridge of Spirits. I don't really know anything about this game other than it caught my eye when the PlayStation 5 trailers were first coming out. I was like, yo, that game looks kind of cool. And then I kind of followed a little bit of it after its release. I saw some like speedruns and shit. To be honest, I hate this kind of trend we're seeing at the moment where these kind of like AAA big games release and they're like not polished enough. Because, you know, play a game on the PS2, it's got polish on polish, right? Like I play Ratchet and Clank, PlayStation 2. They polished so much that they actually had an entire extra museum where you could look at all the like dev stuff, and it was really cool. And they didn't do that for the PS5 version. And I'm not saying the PS5 Ratchet and Clank wasn't polished, but I think there's a level of like extra that developers are not going to anymore, which is kind of a shame. And it all comes back to Kino in the form that, like, look at these menus. They're like really ugly and basic, and the game doesn't control immaculately. And I just think if you're gonna make a platformer, that's kind of the main thing, right? And I don't even know what to do here. Tutorials used to be better too. Okay, that opened the door. I'm not stupid. I just think I'm not engaging with the game mechanics properly. The first thing the game taught me to do was this pulse thing. You can press the left bumper and you get a little pulse. Turns on like torches and stuff. And then, of course, I was about to complain about unskippable. I was about to complain about unskippable cutscenes. This one actually was skippable, but the first few weren't. So I'm still gonna complain. I want to skip the cutscenes most of the time. I want to skip the cutscenes. I will say one thing that is cool about PlayStation 5 games is I do like the adaptive trigger. It doesn't really add much controls wise to a lot of games. In Ratchet and Clank they actually made good use of it, where your weapons could have different like firing settings depending on how much, like, to what degree you were holding the trigger. This isn't something that we haven't seen before. Mario Sunshine had it, but then it's not really a thing on most modern controllers, because even though they are analog a lot of the time, the Xbox controller's analog. They don't really make use of the fact that it's analog. It's just kind of there. I can't think of any games I've played in recent memory that like make use of that feature. Obviously, Melee made use of that, but Melee's a fantastic game. But yeah, I like how like the adaptive trigger kind of brings that back. In this case, the heavy swings just are harder to press down the triggers for. I don't find that super engaging, but it's like whatever. It's like, I'm glad they tried. Now we open the door. No? We don't open the door? Okay, I don't know how that worked. Like, the entire game up until this point, there had to be, like, crystals when I did the pulse thing, but that time it just worked. But I guess it's just a button that does things, and I shouldn't question it too much. This game is really pretty, but I think that's, like, that's the kind of trap with like PlayStation 5 games, is they all look good. They're all pretty. And I realize it's not easy to make a game that looks pretty, but I think maybe too often studios are prioritizing that. Like the new Call of Duty game was like 200 gigabyte, and I don't usually complain about that kind of thing because it's a game that I'm never going to play. But I do think it's emblematic of the kind of deeper problem here, which is that graphics over all else is a all too common kind of approach to game dev, and I don't want to defend Game Freak too hard, but like Scarlet and Violet was a very fun game, despite the fact that it objectively looked horrible and actually had a lot of performance issues. You know, we found a friend. We got a little guy. Look at that. He's called the Rot. That's not a cute name, but whatever. But yeah, like, this game's gorgeous, but if it controlled like 50% better and looked 50% worse, I think I would like it more. But I also think I have a sort of unpopular opinion on that matter, because I like to play GameCube and PS2 games, and I think the value in those games is pretty much never the graphics. I will say Pikmin is a gorgeous game. Despite being on the GameCube, it is gorgeous. It hasn't particularly aged well in the, you know, the amount of pixels on the screen or the lighting department. Like, in those aspects, it's still weaker than a lot of modern games. I think it just gets the vibe right. And I will say this game gets the vibe right. Kino, I'm enjoying it. It's like a cute little thing. But I don't know. I think it's a game that to me feels like, I feel like it's this weird thing where, like, if the jump feels bad and the movement feels bad, then the game kind of feels like on rails. This was a problem I had with the original Xenoblade. And to be fair to Xenoblade, it's an RPG, so it's like less of a problem there. I really like Xenoblade Chronicles. But the jump arc, it felt really weird, and there was no movement in particular beyond just walking. And then when you walked on ice, it was really funny because you went like really, really fast for no reason, which was kind of fun. Speaking of ice, actually, Parkour Civilization, PvP Civilization. The last episode of PvP Civilization came out. It was awesome. That's all I have to say on the matter. But yeah, the movement in that game was kind of ass, but it made up for it in like other aspects, and I'm sure this game will make up for it in other aspects. Like, I don't think this game is gonna be a bad game. I'm kind of enjoying it. Collect more rot. I really don't understand how rot is meant to purify. I feel like I don't know if it's the naming convention or if the little guys are actually meant to be like rot, like wood rot, like fungus. It seems like a weird thing to call your Pikachu, but you know. Is this just gonna... Is every puzzle just gonna be walking up to the crystal and pressing L1? What did that even do? Did it do anything? Can't really tell. Am I supposed to do it from over here? Is that the puzzle? We do it backwards? No, I just have no idea. Okay. Maybe the puzzle is more complex than I... Oh, no, I have to do it from here. There we go. I just didn't find the right place to stand. That is one of my favorite kinds of puzzles. No, to be fair, one of my favorite games, Tokobot Plus, the movement in that game is not great. I just kind of got used to it because I played it a lot. So I definitely like... I think if you put in enough hours to a game, you can definitely get used to something that is like not super intuitive at first. Oh, I leveled up. Let's go. My team of companions has grown. And I can purify stuff now. Perfect. Yeah, you can definitely get used to it. It's like, is this game gonna be long enough? Or is it gonna be good enough in the early hours to like hook me? I don't know. But is it even gonna be long enough for me to like get over that initial hurdle? So many games just end in like 2 hours. Not for major games like this, but they are still like shorter than I think they used to be. Equally, games are longer than they used to be, because you have RPGs that are like 80 hours long now. I have no idea how people can play through an entire Persona game, but I think there's a lot of like, we're missing the like 35-hour long games. I feel like everything's kind of on the extreme of like, this is a 10-hour game, or it's like 80. Or even longer. Games like Elden Ring, people put in like hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I know it doesn't take that long to beat the game, but if that's your like average playtime, it's like, I don't usually want to commit to that, but I also don't play that many games outside of Gold, so I don't know what that was. I don't know what I did there. It just taught me a thing, but I don't actually know what it did. No, not every game should be that long though. I've played some like Five Nights at Freddy's fan games that really overstay their welcome. Because they're like 5 nights long. Every Five Nights at Freddy fan game is 5 nights long. But it's like, they're long nights, or they're hard nights, and you never actually get to the point. I think the original, like, few FNAF games, like, not Sister Location, because that was different, but, like, 1 through 4, they really didn't overstay their welcome. And I'm not saying that Sister Location did, I just haven't played it. I never played Sister Location, so I don't know. But, like, those games didn't overstay their welcome, they kind of ramped up in difficulty, and by the time it got to the point where it's like, okay, I kind of get the gameplay loop, you were done night 5. You could do night 6 and 7 after, but like optional extras for people who want the challenge. Those games were like the perfect length. And I think that like how long your game should be a lot of the time comes down to how fun is your gameplay loop. And I think games like Persona that are 80 hours long are not fun enough. They're not fun enough to justify it, I think. Equally, those games are certainly just not for me. So it doesn't really matter. Are they gonna follow me? Like, I've picked them up. Are they gonna... Oh, there we go. Okay, I get it. There's little guys, and they solve puzzles for me. I kind of like this. This is kind of reminiscent of Tokabot a little bit. Because we got little guys, and there's like there's definitely a sense of like there was some kind of ancient technology here, but it's not like super sophisticated. But in some ways, it's more sophisticated than our own. I mean, they kind of have like Wi-Fi, right? Not that we don't have that. I'm not trying to say Wi-Fi is more sophisticated than what we have. But they had that like wireless stuff between the crystals. I feel like that kind of counts. Oh goodness. Here we go. Gotta climb up here. I mean, that double jump just feels bad. I want a game like... I think that's the problem, is I want every, like... If you're gonna give me platformer controls, it's gotta control at least as good as the last platformer I played. Which very often the last platformer I played is a very good one, because why would I play a bad game? I don't know. I'm having fun. I think the game's cool. We got a boss fight? Or is this just the guy? Because this was the guy from earlier, but he didn't fight us earlier.
Let me help you.
Oh, here we go, Sprout. Wait, no, that's a different guy. Okay. I mean, maybe I should pay attention. So is this like Souls-like. I don't love the term Souls-like because it really just means like dodge and then hit. Like that's the kind of format. And if you want to like define a Souls-like, then very quickly it comes down to like, oh, Legends Arceus is a Souls-like because the boss fights where you like throw Pokeballs at them and you gotta dodge. Which isn't necessarily wrong, but I've always said my favorite, well, not always, the game came out like 2 years ago, but Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that's a good Souls-like. Is it really a Souls-like game? I don't know, but it is fun. I want to, I don't know, I want to know why this guy's fighting me and not the guy that's in the cutscene, but I also don't want to watch the cutscene enough to find out. I can't shoot. Shielding just seems bad. I feel like, well, first of all, I keep pressing square and expecting that to be my attack button. That's on me. That's on me for not being used to the controls. But equally, I feel like I should be dodging everything. But I can also, like, dodge cancel my attacks, so there's actually no, like, risk reward to just, like, sending an attack. To be fair, I'm not on the, like, hard mode, but I'm not on the easy mode either. I feel like, I mean, I played Hyrule Warriors, that game's really fun, but the boss fights are really mind-numbing because you can just attack them until they start their attack, which is super telegraphed, and then dodge, because the dodge button is free in all of those games. But that's what Musou games are like. Like, that's what Warriors games are kind of like. I don't fault the game for that. They're not meant to be more engaging than just you're Luffy from One Piece and you kill a million guys. That's the whole appeal of Pirate Warriors. And I kind of wish we had like a good One Piece fighter, because we got like Raging Blast 2 for Dragon Ball. We just got Sparking Zero, which I should play on the channel at some point. Sparking Zero. And we got Dragon Ball Fighters. And if we had something like that for One Piece, I think it would be sick. Comment down below your ideas for a One Piece fight.